Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. So my name is Irene Maganga, and I'll be moderating this session all the way from Tanzania, which is our host for the 2025 9th Africa ELTA Conference this year. So welcome to this, we can say it's the last but not least webinar session for the Africa ELTA Female Leadership Program 2024-2025. Today we have 7 amazing presenters across Africa, and we are all here to support them, and they all have amazing presentations. So without wasting time, some housekeeping issues. So our presenters, as usual, will present for 15 minutes, and then we'll have few minutes for questions. We can take 1 or 2 questions. So if you have any question at the end of the presentation, kindly type it in the chat box and I'll read it for you. So I hope Sarah is here.
Yes, Sarah is here.
Okay, so our first presenter today is Denise Yvonne Nakito. Her mentor is Sarah Mount. Sarah has been with us in this journey. This is not her first time being a mentor in this program, so she has been with us, and she has been with Denise, mentoring her for the 3 months. So Sarah, you're welcome to introduce Denise.
Hi, thank you, Irene. I'm really excited to introduce Denise. We've been working together for 3 months. We've been meeting every week. And I just want to say how committed she's been, because she has had tremendous problems with internet connection. But we've got to where we are, so I'm really excited about today. So Denise is a skilled language educator with over 10 years of experience. She works as a teacher trainer at ELTA, where she leads workshops to improve English teacher skills and promote inclusive teaching practices. She also teaches English, develops lesson plans, and collaborates with parents to support student growth. Denise holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Macquarie University and is dedicated to continuous professional development. Passionate about quality education, she's involved in community outreach and mentoring aspiring teachers. Outside of work, she enjoys reading and exploring cultures. Over to you, Denise.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for the humble introduction. It's really a privilege and an honor to have walked this journey with you as my mentor. Just like you introduced me, I'm Denise from Uganda. Greetings from Uganda. Let me put on my video so that the audience can attach the face to the voice. So I'm Denise. I'm going to start sharing my slide. Please confirm if you can see my slides.
Yeah, we can. That's great, Denise.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to be looking at fostering connectivity, emotional intelligence, and self-responsibility in English language. I'll be looking at these elements of connectivity, emotional intelligence, and self-responsibility in English language. The reason why I've decided to focus on these 3 elements is because they are very crucial in an English learning environment. So when we look at the first slide, it has a connectivity, self-responsibility. Let me hold on a moment. Allow me first get out of the slide presentation so that you can have full visibility of the entire slide. It has the 3 elements: connectivity, self-responsibility, and emotional intelligence. And there's a linkage to the 3 elements. Without emotional intelligence being the key component, it will not be easy for learners or even the teachers themselves to connect. They will not be self-responsible. So creating an inclusive classroom encourages collaboration, there's real life engagement and cultural exchange, which fosters communication, teamwork, and mutual respect. And when we look at emotional intelligence, it cultivates the student's ability to manage emotions, empathize, and build social skills, which we do this by using role plays. We create a supportive environment for our learners. Also, self-responsibility, why it's a key issue in English language teaching. It promotes autonomy. Yeah, there is goal setting, there is time management, there is self-assessment, and this enables the learners to take ownership of their learning and develop their critical thinking skills. So this is our first slide, connectivity, building meaningful relationships. As you can see from the slide, there are two different classroom settings. The first setting shows students set together in groups. There is a teacher standing there ready to guide them. And also the second setting shows that there are learners or students seated together still in groups or in circles. The language learning thrives when students feel connected to their peers. There is strong connection. It encourages them to take risks and engage in conversations. This supportive environment creates a dynamic classroom. This supportive environment creates a dynamic classroom where language acquisition is enhanced. Yeah. Hello?
Hello, Denise.
Am I clear now?
Yes.
Well, no.
Okay. So
Yeah, we can't hear you again.
can you hear me now?
I can when you said that, but we couldn't hear anything prior to that. Do you want to start talking to that slide again and we'll see if we can hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I shared the two different classroom settings, which show the first setting, learners are seated in groups trying to discuss. You see the teacher is standing there trying to guide them. The second setting shows learners seated trying to discuss, share, and collaborate. Like I said, this kind of setting or teaching of connectivity builds meaningful relationships. There is strong connection, encourages students to take risks and engage in conversations and collaborate. I want to use an example of my learning experience when I was still in high school back then. We did have this kind of setting in our classes. The teacher was the lead instructor, where we were afraid of making mistakes, we were afraid of taking risks. You would be thinking that, what if I say something wrong? What would happen? What will the teacher say to me? Because it was really, really different from the current situations. That's why I'm so much into encouraging this kind of setting in my class when I'm teaching my students. I encourage them to collaborate, to engage in conversations, take risks, because that's how students learn. It creates an environment which enhances language acquisition. Yeah. Then we also have emotional intelligence. We still have two different settings. The first setting shows a teacher trying to walk through emotions. The teacher is trying to illustrate emotions to the students. And when you look at the second setting, you see the teacher, the way the teacher is looking at the student, the way the teacher is holding the student, and the way the other students are looking at the teacher and the student. Yeah, so this helps students manage emotions, understand perspectives, and navigate social interactions, which are essential for effective communications. So this kind of atmosphere is filled with laughter, thoughtful conversations, moments of introspection. Everyone is learning to understand themselves and each other. there's a better supportive and nurturing environment. Yeah? You find students are seated maybe in circles. The teacher begins a session with a check-in, asking each student to share how they are feeling, maybe using emotion pictures or words like calm, excited, anxious, curious. So sometimes we do get anxious when something maybe is going to happen. So you can maybe ask your students, how are you feeling now? I'm feeling anxious. Why are you feeling anxious? Maybe I'm going in for a test. So how can we help you to overcome that? So that kind of setting really helps students to navigate through social interactions, and it's very engaging. It encourages students to pick on learning. We also have self-responsibility, which empowers independence. Have self-responsibility, which empowers independent learners. You still see the two different settings here. The students are seated on their own, trying to do self-study. And the second setting, the teacher is trying to guide the students through the resources they can use to do self-study. You realize some of them have textbooks, some of them have computers, they have notepads, they have iPads and all that. So such learning environment encourages students to take ownership of their learning. It motivates them to engage actively. And one of the activities that they can do is goal setting exercises. You ask them to do goal setting exercises, to do reflective journals. It helps them to track their progress. They identify areas for improvement and build lifelong learning habits. I want to use an example of my girl. Whenever she maybe does a test or an exam, whatever assignment she's given, if she doesn't get 10 out of 10, she will come back to you, give me your phone, I need to search this question here. I want to know why I failed it so that next time I shouldn't fail it. She sets her goal. She's like, next time I'm going to make sure I get 10 out of 10. You see her monitoring her progress. She's self-driven. She comes back from school. She sits, does her homework before she does anything else. She does self-study. She asks you questions. How can I go about this at school? How can I do this to become a better student and all that? And she promises you and tells, I'm going to make sure I get maybe 100 out of 100. I'm going to make sure I am the best student, because this kind of teaching gives them autonomy and it motivates them to take ownership of their learning process. And this is also a very important element when it comes to retention of students. Yeah, because sometimes students get bored when they do things concurrently, they get bored. I want to use an example of myself when I was still in lower primary. If it wasn't for my parents, I think I would have dropped out of school because of the school setting. It was teacher-led instructions. You know, they would give you homework. After homework, you had to go back home, do the homework, come back the next day when you've finished all the homework. In case you've not finished the homework, you would get a punishment for not finishing your homework. You would be beaten for not finishing your homework. In case a teacher asked you a question and you failed to answer the question, sometimes it would call for a punishment. They call you to stand in front of the entire class. They tell you to touch your feet, and you're given some canes for not knowing the answers to the question. So it was a bit tricky during my time of study. And if it wasn't for my parents being tough and strict on me, I think I would have dropped out of school. And because of that background, that's why I encourage it. I interest students to take ownership of their study, understand why they are in school, why they are studying, why they are taking on different activities. And this helps them to thrive even outside the school environment. We've looked at the three different elements: emotional intelligence, self-responsibility, and connectivity. The most important thing is emotional intelligence. Without emotional intelligence, you cannot connect with others. You cannot be self-responsible, because self-responsibility calls for self-awareness, calls for self-regulation. I normally tell my students there is this theory that we normally look at, that we call know thyself. How much do you know yourself? Yeah, and that goes for self-awareness, self-responsibility. Yeah, there is also sometimes we use the iceberg theory when we are looking at emotions. Yeah, what are you displaying out, but how are you feeling inside? So we try to bring up different activities in class for learners to really understand these values that go beyond learning and a part of life skills. So I did an integration and a reflection of the three elements into the lessons. I want us to watch this first video. I used the exploring. I used exploring character traits because we are so familiar with traits. Everyone knows their traits. So I want us to watch this first video and see what it shows. Understanding the qualities that shape characters. So as when you look at the first slide, the way it's being displayed, you realize it's kind of student-led. They are given questions. What is your favorite? For instance, what is your favorite? What's your favorite positive trait? Empathetic, adaptable, cooperative. Share with a partner about your choice. Yeah, you realize your students are giving themselves high fives after the discussion. This is student-led. They are self-responsible for their study. The negative character traits: arrogant, irresponsible, moody, manipulative. So you tell them to name as many characters as they can. Yeah, they're also neutral character traits: creative. Let's first pause a little bit here. We have creative, ambitious, cautious, open-minded, assertive, confident, practical, independent, analytical. And we all realize that even when as adults, we are writing our CVs, when they're telling you to write the skills, your unique selling values that sell you out, most times we say, I am self-driven, I am open-minded, I am ambitious, I am logical, I am analytical. So you realize that these do not stop at only language learning. They extend even to activities outside our class. We do employ them in activities outside our class, which are very, very crucial in the current world. Then you ask them to stand up if one of these intros speaks to your personality. Identify and discuss character traits you observe in these images. You give them a matching exercise. Then here, the end, you ask them, what is one thing you learned about character traits and one question you still have? Here, you're encouraging them to engage in conversation, yeah? You're encouraging them to take risks. It doesn't matter whether the question I'm going to ask is right or wrong, but I have that space where I can openly ask my question, where I can openly engage, where I can openly engage with each other. So here you think about how you can incorporate character traits into your storytelling toolkit or into your class. Yeah. So there is also this other second setting. You realize this was more of a teacher-led instruction where the teacher was guiding them on what they're supposed to do, telling them, today we are going to learn about character trait. Goes ahead to define for them what character traits are, goes ahead to define for them what character traits are, gives them the difference between, differentiates the difference between an emotion and a character trait, gives them examples. Then here the teacher gives them a question, asks them to discuss with a partner what the difference is. But remember, ask them to discuss after giving them what the definition is. Unlike in the first setting where we see students are given that opportunity to, engage, discuss on their own, it allows you to get out of that. I normally call it safe space, because sometimes when we get into the safe space. Yes?
Yeah.
2
minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay. So these are some of the studies that I use. These are some of the studies that I used. These are some of the studies that I used for putting my presentation together. There is study on collaborative learning, Oxford 1997. There is also mindfulness in education by Kabat-Zinn 2003. And there's also a case study by Rao in 2020. Yeah, thank you very much for being part of our journey. That's all I had for my presentation. If you have any questions, the floor is open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, Denise, for such a nice and wonderful presentation. It reminded us of a typical African classroom. So I have a few questions from the chat box. The first one is, have you noticed a difference in your students in their learning since you started to employ some of these strategies? Is there any difference?
Yes, I did notice a difference because initially when I joined my current school where I'm currently working, you would realize that maybe today, for instance, today, which is Monday, I'm using today as Monday, you have about 50 students in class. After 2 days, you have about 35. After a month, you have about 20. So I kind of got concerned as like, why are students dropping off? I really needed to understand. So I had engagement with my students. We would use different activities. I normally use plays, novels, films. The common book that I love using is Animal Farm because it has funny characters that relate to our real life experiences. Yeah, so I engage them in plays. I tell them to write, why didn't you come to school? What could be the issue? I create that safe space where I engage my students to share with me. And you realize they tell you, maybe I didn't come back to class because when they taught, I did not understand what they are teaching. And I don't think I will be able to write my exam. So I try to implement ways because before I joined, they had different teachers, but when I joined and the administration realized that there was retention in class, I was given about 5 classes to teach. Yeah. So I almost teach all levels at my school because of the students engage in class, they collaborate. My classes are always active. You never find it quiet when you move around the compound. You find students talking, engaging, they go outside, they share, they write their projects, they pin them on the wall and share. They're always looking forward to attending my classes. So when I employed this kind of teaching in my lessons, I had retention of students in class and an entire school, because even other teachers who are not teaching English language are adopting the same model of teaching in their lessons. And I feel it's working given the fact that the school is up country. For us here, up country is very, 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 not even average, but schools which are deep in the villages, yeah.
Well, thank you. I'll give you one more question and then we'll move to the next one. So what specific tactics can be used to recognize and manage the emotions of students who are struggling?
Sorry, I've lost you. I didn't hear that question. Irene, I lost you. I don't know if it's my network.
Can you hear me now?
Irene, I didn't hear you. I don't know if it's my network. Hello, Irene.
I do hear you. Okay. I was asking you this question, Denise. What specific tactics can be used to recognize and manage the emotions of students who are struggling with language and today?
I think Irene is facing a problem with the connection. Denise, we can't hear you if you are speaking. Okay.
Hello?
Okay, we can hear you now. I'm going to ask the question. It is in the chat box.
Okay.
What specific tactics can be used to recognize and manage the emotions of students who are struggling with language anxiety, from your experience?
From my experience, the strategies I've used, the first first one I shared is creating that safe space with your students. Most times in an English language classroom, not even English language classroom, any kind of classroom, it's the teacher that sets that tone for that classroom. How do you relate with your students? How do you want your students to know you? Have you created that safe space that invites the students to engage with you, to share with you anything? And we always have the beginnings, just like a child who has just been born. There are those baby steps you take. So I always encourage my students, it's okay to make mistakes. No one knows it all. It's from the mistakes where you learn from and grow. So I encourage them. We engage in different exercises. We have that spelling bees where you tell them, okay, can we do a random exercise on spelling? We just ask questions like, what's your favorite maybe dish? Can you spell it for us? What's your favorite color? Can you spell how many colors are there? Give us 5 colors. We just do random, we call it icebreaker activities in class, because when I get to my class, I don't directly get into my lesson. We first start with icebreaker activities. Okay, what did you meet on your way back home? Did you find anything interesting? Would you love to share with us? Okay, when you got home, how was your day like when you reached home? So through those experiences, when they share, they open up, and in sharing their experiences, they're also learning grammar and, cutting out the anxiety. So by the time you start your lessons, they're not anxious, they're already excited, looking forward, because they feel the space is safe. You've set the tone for them to engage in your lesson. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Denise, for sharing your insights from your experience. This is really a very important topic that you shared with us today, especially in larger classes where the rapport and actually the interaction between teachers and students is something that we need to do more effort to do actually. So acknowledging your students' emotions and trying to ease them into the lesson before starting is something that is really recommended. Geraldine also mentioned in the chat box that we can use peer teaching to help our learners with their anxiety.
Yes.
This is a good technique, yeah. Thank you very much, Denise, for your presentation. Amazing topic and amazing presentation. And we love your passion about the topic as well as you are talking
Sure,
about.
Amira, allow me to take off this opportunity to thank Sarah. Sarah has really been very, very, very patient with me. We had internet issues. She would be on for 30 minutes waiting for me to get connectivity and all that. Sarah, I really, really, really appreciate you so much. Amira, I appreciate you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me this space of growth. Yeah, I'm super proud of you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. And we are very glad that we didn't have to wait 30 minutes today for you to do your presentation. Sorry, Sarah.
Sarah had to prepare me for
Sarah,
that.
you had the hard work. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sarah and Denise, for your amazing work and experience together as well. We are going to move now to our next presenter on the list. And our next presenter is Eunice. And her mentor is Mwanidi from Tanzania again. So Tanzanian presenters and mentors are always like on the show, and would love to introduce Mwanidi now, the mentor that worked with Eunice over the past few months to prepare her presentation that you're going to see today. Mwanidi, are you there? I think you are.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Amira.
Over to you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So this is Mwaidi Mwacha from Kigoma, Tanzania, a proud mentor to Eunice Azumbu Mbecho, all the way from Cameroon. She's a very dedicated teacher who has been teaching at a government secondary school in Iberia, Cameroon for over 13 years now. She was trained as a counselor, and she's very proud on developing all the knowledge and the support that her students need. She believes that education should go beyond theoretical concepts and include practical and hands-on learning. She believes in this approach on emphasizing a holistic education system that's aimed to transform the lives of her students. She is very interested in business as she wants to contribute more to the economy of her country. Thank you so much, Eunice. Welcome. Eunice, are you there?
Thank you very much. I'm there. Thank you very much, mentor. Thank you so much. I really want to thank you because despite the fact that you were pregnant during this period of training, yet you were there for me to mentor me. And I want to also thank you because even though you have put to birth, yet you were still there for me. I admire your resilience. I sincerely do. And thanks to African ELTA for giving me the opportunity to present here today. Thank you. I'll go straight away to my presentation. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, it's
Can you all see
loading.
my screen?
It's
Am I
coming.
sharing?
Yeah, about to. Just a minute.
Hello?
Yes, we are here. Just a minute. It's loading. You can breathe. Oops, we lost her.
Yeah. I was about to tell her to switch off her video just to help with the connection.
That will work. Yeah. Let's...
Okay. Congratulations, Monidi, on the new baby.
Thank you so much. We have baby Ilham, New
Oh.
Cairo. Yeah, she has a nickname, New Cairo, from Tina.
Congratulations, Amina.
Thank you so much. Okay, Eunice.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, and please, you can put
Can
off
you
your
all see my
camera.
screen?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Okay, we can see it.
Okay.
You can proceed without a video.
Let me go from that. Okay, yes, I'm doing that. All right. I would have loved to see everyone's face. All right, no problem. All right, my topic is from the classroom to community, enhancing ESL vocabulary acquisition through real life context. And that is to be presented by Eunice. All right, the very first thing I would like us to know is the importance of ESL vocabulary acquisition. You will bear with me that in order for you to communicate,
Seems she has a serious connection issue. I'll just wait a few minutes for her to come back. I hope it works for her.
okay, I'm sure everyone can see my screen.
We can hear you, Eunice, but
hello?
We can't see your screen now. Can you share it again?
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Yeah, you will. Okay, I said I will start with discussing the importance of ESL vocabulary acquisition.
Okay, we can see it now.
Okay, so one of the importance of ESL vocabulary acquisition has to do with improved communication. Whenever learners or even teachers have a wide range of vocabulary, it helps them to improve their communication. How? The first thing is, in the course of speaking, they will make use of diverse vocabulary. That's just for speaking. Then again, apart from speaking, which is an important communication skill, it's writing. Whenever learners or even teachers or anyone who has a mastery of vocabulary, particularly English, that person will better communicate in writing because of the wide range of word stock. And then again, as far as listening is concerned, when discussing with someone, depending on the field, whether it's from the medical field, whatever field it is, as long as the person has a wide range of terminology, in the course of listening, the person tends to understand better and as a result, communicate better. And then in addition to that, one of the importance of vocabulary acquisition is that it helps to broaden knowledge and understanding of different topics. Immediately, you have the different vocabularies. Whatever topic comes to you, you'll be able to discuss with whoever engages in discussion. And then now, particularly to students, a wider range of vocabulary grants them success in their academic. I give an example, say in Cameroon, we have what we call GCE, ordinary level, and advanced level. When students have a mastery of diction, they will be able to, first of all, write their composition very well, and they will score good marks. They will have good grades because they are being evaluated on level of vocabulary. And then again, even for listening comprehension and directed writing, when they have the wide range of word stock, they will be able to answer questions from the different sections. So it is very important that students acquire vocabulary in English language. Now, apart from those three mentioned, whenever someone, whether be a student or a teacher, acquires much terminology, you realize that the person thinks differently. It enhances the person's thinking skill. The person, in the course of listening, will be able to decipher that this particular word means like this. And as a result, the person will think better. It will strengthen the person's thinking capacity. And then another important thing with vocabulary acquisition is that it helps to boost one's self-confidence. You will bear with me that wherever you find yourself, and if you have a wide range of vocabulary, you can interact with anyone and you will feel at ease. You will have 100% self-confidence. And then again, for students, it will help students to prepare for standardized tests. An example is the SAT, the ACT, just to name a few. Okay. Now we'll move to the definition of real life context. Remember, my topic is from the classroom to the community. Classroom to the community. Okay. And then enhancing ESL vocabulary acquisition through real life context. Now, what is real life? Real life simply means everyday situation. Like now you're at home, I'm at home. That's real life. Language learned naturally in this real life context. That's what my topic centers all about. So real life context refers to everyday situation where language is learned naturally. If you look very well on my slide, you see there that I have at the airport. Now at the airport, that is a real life context. Many people travel and they use the airport to travel out of the country and even within the country. All right, I'll go to the next slide. Now, why should we as teachers use real life context in order to teach vocabulary? Like I already mentioned, the importance of vocabulary acquisition. Here you will have again improved communication. I've already discussed that in the other slide. Another important thing for us to use real life context in order to teach vocabulary is that it will help the students to better retain those vocabularies which are being taught. And again, using real life context, you realize that if you were to present a real life situation in the classroom, students or learners tend to engage in the lesson and they participate more in the lesson. And in addition to that, if students learn vocabulary through real life context, they will be able to communicate and understand English language in real life context. You look at my screen, there we have a child at a supermarket. That's still another real life context. All right. Now, I would like us to look at the traditional classroom learning and the real life context. The first picture there, we have a traditional classroom. When I talk of traditional classroom, I simply mean a classroom where the teacher is like a demigod. The teacher simply presents to the student that which she knows. To a certain extent, she is limited because she has not brought in the community or the real life into her classroom. But when you look at the second picture, you see another teacher, first of all, smiling. He's already very happy. And what did I title that particular picture? I said the world inside the classroom. The teacher has simply transformed his classroom into the global world, into the whole, in fact, we could say the universe even. He has brought in the world into the classroom. All right, now I would like us to watch this video. I know that a majority of our colleagues here must have traveled by boarding plane to one country or the other. But the learners that I currently teach, they have never traveled out of the country. And so I would like us to watch this video. And if you were my learner, I would say, write down new words after having watched this video. And permit me say that I actually chose this video because it is, first of all, short. If it were in my class, I would have taken a longer video that is more explicit than this one. All right, I'm going to share it now.
At the airport. To travel by plane. They are packing their bags. Sarah is very excited. I can't wait to be in the plane.
Eunice, the video stopped. We lost you.
Okay.
I'm sorry for my poor network.
Cents, please. Thanks for the ride. Keep the change. Thank you. Have a nice flight.
What are we gonna do first, Mom? First, we need to go to the check-in counter. What are we gonna do there? We're gonna check in our bags and get our boarding passes. Let's go. There is such a long queue of passengers here.
We won't have to wait long. Hello. We would like to check in.
Hello. Can I see your tickets and passports?
Yes, of course. Here they are.
How many bags are you checking in?
2 bags.
Can you put them on the scale, please?
Yes, sure.
How many carry-on bags are you taking with you?
2 bags. Does that mean I can take my bag on the plane with me? Yes, Sarah.
Okay, here are your boarding passes and your passports.
Thank you.
You will be boarding at gate B2 at 12:10.
Okay, thank you very much. So where are we going now, Dad?
We're going through security now. Hello. Hello. Put your bags on here, please. Empty your pockets and put the contents in the tray.
What is this machine, Dad?
This is the X-ray machine that looks inside things. Now we have to step through the scanner. I'll go first.
Now it's my turn.
Here is your bag.
Now we need to go to our gate. Let's take the escalator.
We are going to wait here for the boarding announcement.
We lost her again. I think we can ask Eunice to skip the
Hello,
video
Eunice?
and move to the next slide. Irene, right?
But I think we lost her.
Yeah, for just the sake of time. When she joins back, she can just skip the video and move to the next slide.
Okay. So as we are waiting, Eunice was presenting about teaching vocabulary using real life context. And as English language teachers, we all know the importance of using real life context when we're teaching, especially knowing that literacy begins at home. Oh, she's back. Yes, Eunice? Eunice, you're muted.
Hello.
Yes.
You're muted. Okay, yes. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Hello.
Hello, Eunice. You can continue.
Okay. I'm sorry, where was I even? Oh, let me come back to this place. I'll just continue. I won't go behind again for the video. The network is really bad. It's poor network. Right. So what am I saying? In a summary, all I'm saying is that our teachers should actually transform their classroom into real life context. They should bring in real life each time they want to teach vocabulary, because students will always learn faster and better by what they see. Because sometimes when certain concepts are taught theoretically, they tend to forget. You will also agree with me that there are some movies that you watch while you were still a teen, but up to now, you can remember that movie. And there are some phrases which were used in that movie that up to today, you can remember them. So I encourage teachers to, first of all, get a projector and then download educational videos from YouTube, TED, and many other educational websites where they could have some of those content-oriented videos, and then teach and bring them to their classrooms and then teach students. Actually, after students must have watched the video, what I usually do is that I tell them with their benchmate to discuss the different words that they have written down as new words to them. And after that discussion, I will now tell them to engage in a kind of sketch. They will do presentation in front of the classroom. Sometimes I pair the students 5 per group, and then they come out and then they present what they have actually learned. Then as a take-home assignment, I usually ask them to go home and then go to the dictionary and verify the different word class of the words that they have just used. And with that, the students come out better and will be able to use the different vocabularies conveniently and effectively. And all that said and done, I really hope that my little knowledge that I'm sharing, that I have shared, will benefit colleagues. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Eunice. I'll just ask one question, only one question, and then we'll move to the next presenter. So there's a question from Alan. It says, most textbooks focus on heavy grammar syllabus. So putting vocabularies at the center stage is an interesting way of looking at language development. How does this perspective influence your planning and teaching? If you can look at the chat box, the question is from Alan. Do we still have Eunice?
Pardon me, I didn't hear the question. Your line rather wasn't the best. Let me go to the chat box. Maybe I can find it there.
Yeah.
Most textbooks.
The question that Amira reposted.
Okay. Okay, I've seen it. Okay, like I said, I'm using my own context in Cameroon. What we usually do is, let's say I teach Form 5, and Form 5, the language is divided into 2 sections. We say section A, which is grammar and vocabulary. And section B is composition and directed writing. Now, with grammar and vocabulary there, what I do is I could prepare this lesson just 15 minutes. The students watch the video, and after that, we could discuss on the vocabulary which they have actually acquired. I don't know if I have answered the question, because I usually integrate the section A, that is composition and directed writing, with my grammar and vocabulary. Same class, because we have 1 hour, 30 minutes per class. I don't know if I've answered this question.
Thank you, Eunice. I hope you have answered it. Hawa, if you're here, you can start sharing your screen in the interest of time. Okay, so our next presenter is Hawa Magoti. Hawa is a Tanzanian secondary school teacher and English language specialist graduate. Currently, she's a member of the Tanzanian English Language Teachers Association, that is ELTA, and she's serving as the chapter regional coordinator. She's also the yearly RLC Education Changemaker alumni, and she is dedicated to volunteerism and gender equity. Hawa, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Irene Maganga, for the nice introduction. My name is Hawa, as she has introduced me, and first of all, I'd love to appreciate my mentor, Madam Christine Combe, for being with me for the whole program. Really, I've enjoyed a lot and got a lot of insight from her, and probably see the results of our 4-month mentorship program. I am here presenting the topic Mastering the 7 Habits, Empowering Educators to Lead the 21st Century Classroom. Here is an example of the 21st century classroom, whereby we see students are self-centered and they demonstrate those characteristics of a 21st century classroom, whereby we can see communication skills, collaboration, creativity, and so forth. At the back there, we see a very good innovations about emotional learning classroom. So this is what we call the 21st century classroom. The topic aims to explore the 7 essential habits that empower educators to effectively lead 21st century classroom. There's a very nice quote here from Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. So if we help our learners acquire education, and they will be able to change their life and the world itself. As we know that currently we are emphasizing on the application of this knowledge to the real world, so as to see what they learn in class they can apply in their daily activities or daily life. What are the importance of leadership in education? The first thing, it is to shape the future. We know that when students undergo these special programs of education acquiring, We know that we get a lot of doctors, nurses who can help our who can help the world. But also, education, diverse learners and globalized education. Also, another importance of leadership in education. Hello?
Yes.
Am I still there?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much. So another importance of leadership in education, it's about the introduction of the 7 habits framework. And this is what we are going to discuss today. Here are the summary of the 7 habits framework by Stephen R. Covey. And I'll go straight explaining one after another. The first habit, it's about being proactive. When we talk about being proactive, we mean that you are responsible for your own initiatives and responsibility. So we urge the learner to know that he or she is the one to focus or to decide for his or her career. And when we talk about being proactive, we encourage students' agents, and also we model proactive behavior in the classroom. You might find that the student is underperforming, but if you are telling a learner that you are responsible for your failure or your success, so you need to be positive towards your learning so as you can achieve your goals. So that's all about being responsible, being positive towards their learning. I can share my personal example via my students. When I was teaching them in Form 1 last year, there was lots of students never liked to proceed with my class simply because they are being discouraged by the language barrier. In Tanzania, in primary level, they are taught in Kiswahili, but once they shifted to secondary level, they start learning by using English language as a medium of instruction. So it becomes hard for them to copy with their classroom sessions. So some of them never liked to interact in the classroom, feeling shy. They know that they cannot do this and that. But applying first habit as being responsible, being positive, I saw a lot of students coming back with energy in order to proceed with their learning activities. And at the end of the day, they cope now then Form 2. Also, we are going to habit number 2, that is beginning with the end in mind. As classroom instructor, we need to help our learners to develop their goals, to determine what do they really want to be. So this is more about habit number 2. If they know where they are going, they will make a lot of efforts to make sure that they reach to their destination. So in habit number 2, we talk about the power of vision in education, creating lesson objectives, classroom applications, and designing assignments with goals in mind. We encourage learners to put first things first. This is according to Stephen R. Covey, that we need to help our learners to prioritize. They must be having a lot of things around them. But if they learn to prioritize, it will help them to reach to their destinations. And when we talk about put first things first, it's all about time management for educators, technique is animal growth. If they learn how to prioritize, trust me, your learners will achieve and acquire their goals in a very simple way. Let me now take you to habit number 4. Habit number 4, it's all about think win-win. In habit number 4, as classroom instructors, we need to help our learners discourage competition. If they learn together, probably, and it is very possible for them to reach to their destination. Towards our learners. So in habit number 4, we encourage students collaborative projects, building relationship with the student colleges and parents, and we talk about conflict resolution strategies and so on. So let us encourage our learners not to encourage maybe I'm the first, I'm the loser. No. Let us help them acquire their goals collaboratively. In habit number 5, we talk about seek first to understand, then to be understood. And this is one of my favorite habits according to Stephen R. Covey, because most of the time we normally judge our learners. You didn't write my exercise, you didn't finish your quiz, you always come late to school, without taking time to ask you what is really bothering them. So if we take time to listen and understand our learners before generalizing things, maybe there's a lot of learners we will never run away from our classes, because we give an airtime for them to listen and understand what is really bothering them. So in this habit number 5, as classroom instructors, we encourage the importance of effective listening in the classroom. Open-ended questions, not just close them. Give them time to express themselves and see what is really up to them. The methodologies and reflexive feedback. Don't just say you got 5. No. Tell them, why did you get 5? How will you improve? And so forth. However, we have this habit number 6, that is synergize. We as classroom instructors, we are part of the management. We are the leaders. So when we talk about this habit number 7, it's all about collaboration. Work together to find new solution to challenging problems. We might find there's some issues in our school environment, and we need to involve teachers and other stakeholders. We don't have to, I'm a teacher, I'm the one who knows the students. We're not going to just give them other also special opportunity to listen and find, we say mutual agreement, togetherness. That togetherness marks a very positive feedback, or marks a very building a strong community. Yes, when we talk about strong community. So in habit number 7, we talk about harnessing teamwork and diversity in the classroom. Practical ideas, peer learning activities. You might find that our learners are not comfortable maybe with the group discussion. They feel that they feel shy to express themselves. But if you create that peer learning activities, that is more cooperative learning, you'll find others also improving. So this goes directly to students and directly to us as classroom instructors. And the last habit, according to Stephen R. Covey, that's habit number 7, sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw. That is all about balancing between work and personal life. And this goes more to us as classroom instructors. We must be finding ourselves busy with our work, with our learners, and sometimes we forget about the family. In habit number 7, it's all about to sharpen the saw. Give yourself time to relax, go to development workshop as of this African ELTA mentorship, maintaining work balance, suggestion, and continuous improvement for educators. You might find that yourself, you've been teaching for 12 years, you don't see any improvement. Go for professional development. And this also can be demonstrated by myself. my personal examples, I was very afraid of using these technology tools. But after coming to this professional development workshop, now I'm able even to hello?
Yes, Hawa.
Am I still on floor, Irene?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So when we talk about habit number 7, it's all about continuous improvement for educators, professional development workshops, maintain work and balance. So what are the real world applications? I gave myself my personal examples of how I applied those 7 habits, some of in my classroom and school areas, and they were very successful, as I managed to help my learners cope with the issue of language in their teaching and learning, and also how I managed to use habit number 5 on listening to their issues, and at the end of the day, I managed to create a very friendly relationship between my learners and myself as their classroom instructor. So
You have 2 minutes, Hawa.
thank you so much. And I'm about to finish. So according to our discussion, I would love to ask my listeners. So according to the 7 habits framework by R. Stevens, to apply, or which one do you wish to start implementing it at your classroom? You can share it via our chat box, and I'll be very grateful to read from them. As you are sharing, let me jump directly to my conclusion. It is not that possible to apply all the habits at once, but you can start applying one habit after the other. And if you find yourself a habit, the other one, until you finish all of them. So let us apply them in order to get a positive results in our classroom environment. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Hawa. If you can see the chat box, you asked a question and people are typing their answers. So if you go there, you'll see their answers. And thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. People are typing their answers, but I loved the first one, the first habit, that's being proactive. I also loved the last one, which also talked about work-life balance, taking into consideration the mental health of teachers who are us in this webinar. So if you have any questions, please type in the chat box. If we don't have, we'll move to the next because we don't have a lot of time. Okay. So in the interest of time, thank you, Hawa. We'll move to the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Irene, and thank you for everyone.
Okay. Amira?
Thank you, Irene. And now we are going to move to our next presenter. We have Mufulek from Nigeria. And since her mentor is not here, I'm going to introduce her. So Mufulwek is a Nigerian teacher. She teaches English and literature, and she's also a member of the English Language Teaching Association in Nigeria. And she has been mentored by Iyabu, also a Nigerian mentor in our program for the past few months. And Mufulwek is going to share with us today interesting apps to foster excellence in writing. So over to you. Mufulwek, are you here? I saw you.
Good
already.
evening.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's here.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Mofolo Akinola from Nigeria, and I'll be presenting safeguarding students' use of learning apps to foster excellence in writing. That's the topic I'll be sharing with us today. The objective of this session, at the end of the session, participants will be able to support students' use of learning apps. Then the second one is discover strategies to help students creatively use apps in writing. Then the third one is skillfully manage overdependence on writing apps, especially. Now, by way of introduction, we know that writing is one of the language skills that we have, and it is essential for students to know how to write, especially for learners of English that will be writing certificate examinations. For example, in Nigeria, we write West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination, and we also have National Examination Council, where students are tested in English language, and basically the only language skill that is not tested in, as in all language skills are tested in these examinations. And with the trend in learning apps that we have now, we'll discover that so many apps are now available for students to use. And we have so many writing apps to help them in writing. But we discover that these students, they rely more on these writing apps rather than using their creative ability to write. Hence, their writing lacks originality and that's creativity. For instance, I teach SS3 in my class. And when you give them a question to write on continuous writing, maybe an informal letter, they may be asked to write to a friend, telling that friend about their career or their future plans. You discover that they do not want to task themselves anymore. They just go straight to Meta AI or go to ChatGPT because they sneak phones to school. Because in my school, we do not allow the use of phones, but especially when you give them as take-home assignments. You notice that they write excellently well for you when you give them these writings to take home. But in actual sense, when they are writing in class, they perform below expectation. And you would wonder, why is this student like this? Anytime they take assignments home, they do well. And anytime they write in class, they do not always write what you expect of them to write. So I now see that they have so much relied on these learning apps that it has affected their thinking ability. They don't want to tax their memory to write again. They rather prefer to go to the shortcut of copying whatever they see on the internet to answer my questions, because when it comes to writing, I deal with them on one-on-one basis. So what are the strategies that I adopted in in supporting them, I give them classwork. And when I give them classwork, I give them the classwork under examination condition. Because when it is time to write an examination, no students will be allowed to go to the examination hall with their phones. So what I do is I give them the question under examination condition. It's going to be a large class. We have at times 50 or more in a class. So what I do is that I invite another teacher who might not be a teacher of English to help in supervising them. So we put them under examination condition and they are given a task to write. Then I usually set time, not until they finish. In the real examination, they will be given 50 minutes to write. So, but in the classroom, I give them 40 minutes so that they will use the remaining 10 minutes to read whatever they have written. So I let them know this writing task will take you about 40 minutes to write, and you use the remaining 10 minutes to cross-check whatever you have written. Then I introduce them to apps that can be of help to them under my supervision, which their parents as well should do, that their phones should be used with supervision. The teacher will supervise them using their phones. They write on their own first. Then whatever they have written in class, I ask them that when you get home, try to check this and see what the internet will give you as answer to whatever you have written, just to broaden their vocabulary. Then there are so many examples of apps that they can use. We have the Ask Meta AI, which is very common that they use. We have Grammarly, we have ChatGPT, we have Read Along, and other ones that we have Focus Writer, we have Writers Monkey, Essay Pro, LibreOffice Writer, Jotapad. These ones might cost them money, but with ChatGPT, with Meta AI, you can easily get answers to whatever question you give them to write on. Then the next one is strategies to curb over reliance on learning apps. Number one, we can start by reducing homework on writing tasks. When I discovered that they copy from internet whenever they are given a writing task, I stopped giving them any writing assignment to do from home. So whatever we have to do, we do it in school. It's my main waiting after the school for about 1 hour to do our writing task. Then the second one is we monitor their writing task in classroom to develop critical thinking. Because by the time they use all these writing apps to answer questions, they do not think about their answers. These apps will generalize issues. And when it is generalized, it might not be limited to what they are given, as in the case if it applies to Nigeria. On the internet, it might state a general thing, and it might not be applicable to our own environment here. So we monitor their writing tasks in the classroom to develop their critical thinking, because writing is about developing critical thinking, creative ability of students. Then the next one, I give them writing tasks on similar topics for practice at home with apps. Whatever writing questions they are given in class, I also give them as take home to use whichever writing app they want to use and see the possible answers that the app will give them. Then read the vocabulary, read how it is answered, then against another time. In case they come across something similar to that, they will know how to tackle the question. Then teachers can engage learners on the use of the app in the classroom. How can teachers do that? Learners can be guided on how to sift cogent points and develop them creatively. They should not just copy verbatim whatever they see on the net. Your own is to read, digest, bring out the main points, and develop them. They must not leave out thinking, using their brain to think when it comes to writing. That is where the originality comes in. And there is no examiner that is familiar with marking of SSCE, as in English language, that will not know when a candidate uses any writing app to answer a question on continuous writing. And this aspect is so important because in the breakdown of scores, it carries 50 marks, while other aspects like comprehension and summary, comprehension is 20 marks, summary is 30. And once a candidate does well in writing or in any aspect of that continuous writing, it is sure that that candidate will pass his or her English language examination. Then number 2, give learners collaborative tasks to guide them to use apps as a supporting tool. Apps are to guide them. Apps are to help them, not to take the writing. So it shouldn't be used as a means of copying information without their input, because they should not forget when they are face to face with examination, they will need to use their brain to write. Then the next one is give learners task to use their creativity when using writing apps. Whatever they see, they should digest and try to write these things in their own words. Then the next one, we need to let our learners know that there is what we call copyright. When you just lift something that is not written by you and you just put it down as if you were the original writer. There is a law that forbids just using people's work without acknowledging them. So they should learn to write on their own, not copying what others have written. And teachers should help them to create awareness, help the students create awareness on copyright issues. Thank you for listening to me. So I wouldn't know if there are questions and answers.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Mosuwake, for an amazing presentation. And I do agree with you that technology is affecting our learners both positively and negatively, especially when it comes to writing. So supporting them using these apps, as you said, is of great importance, especially when they need to know that their voice is important to be heard. I'm trying to read the chat box and see if we have questions from here. I'm also checking my time. By the way, thank you so much for using your time wisely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see questions, but I would love to know, you talked about parents also supporting these learners. Do you as a teacher talk to the parents about the usage of these apps?
Yes, we usually hold a parent-teachers association meeting where we let the parents know that in this age, we can't tell them not to get their children phones to use because it helps in learning. However, they need to supervise them in using these phones, because you discover that most of them, they just abandon the importance of the phone and face other things while using the phone under the pretense of I am doing my assignment. I have an assignment to do. I need to use my phone. So parents should, by way of calming them, maybe use parental lock on their phones so that at every instance, they can monitor what they are doing on the phone and help them as well for those that have educated parents that can use the phone.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see we don't have another question. We'll move to our next presenter, who is Leah Making. And her mentor is Dr. Amina. I hope she's here. I saw her somewhere. Yes, thank you. So Dr. Amina has been working with Leah for 3 months, and I'm sure she knows her better than we do. So you're welcome to introduce Leah.
Thank you for the excellent presentations that preceded us. Leah McKinsey has actually joined the program a bit later as she was part of the waiting list, and she has persevered and made time to contribute to this presentation, and I'm really happy with the work that we've been doing together. So Leah McKinsey is 38 years old. She's an experienced English teacher with over a decade of service at Hangoni Secondary School in Manyara, Tanzania. She holds a diploma in education and a bachelor's degree in education planning and management from the Open University of Tanzania. Leah is also part of a network of teachers and teacher trainers working across public schools in Tanzania, promoting social emotional learning, which is the focus of her talk today. She's a passionate teacher, passionate about teaching English as second language, as you will see in her presentation. And she actively engages in professional development and is committed to lifelong learning. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure working with her. And I leave the floor to Leah to start her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah, you can share your slides.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amina. I would like to thank you for, dedicating your time, resources, and energy for mentoring me throughout this mentorship program, which lasts for 3 months now. Thank you, Amina. Also, I would like to extend my grateful thanks to Amira, who is the coordinator of this program. Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, good evening.
I'd like to present, about integrating social and emotional learning in language teaching. Irene?
Yes, we can hear you
We
properly.
can hear you.
And we can see your slides, so feel free to go back to the first slide. Thank you.
Okay. My presentation had the following outline. First of all, I'm going to talk about what social and emotional learning meaning. Then I would like to display social and emotional learning framework, as well as benefits of SEL in teaching and learning English. So, starting with the introduction, firstly, I would like I would like to welcome you to share in the chat. What do you understand by the concept of SEL? Be free to share in the chat box. And Irene, would you please read those chat for me?
Okay.
Just 1 minute, please.
So there are some answers. The first one is understanding the learners. And then Amira is saying acknowledging the feelings and emotions of the learners.
Is there any?
Let's give them a few seconds. We don't have time.
Okay.
Yeah, you can move on in the interest of time.
Okay, see. So we are going to the definition of SEL at general. So what you're talking about is social and emotional learning. This involves developing the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our thoughts and emotion, as well as reaction in emotion of others. So starting with this definition, what do we mean when we say we are talking about the ability to recognize and understand, also manage our own thoughts and emotion, as well as reaction and emotion of others? We as educator, we always interact with the students. So apart from delivering maybe the subject matter we are going to teach now and then in the classroom, we are supposed to understand the society we interact with. So you can't deliver material without knowing your audience. So it is it is important to know what are you going to interact with, to understand their ability, to understand their thought as well as emotion. So the next slide, it is about the self framework. So this skill, social and emotion learning, we are going to see about 5 core competencies. What are these? As you see in the screen there, we are talking about 5 competencies, which are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skill, as well as responsible decision making. So we are going through one after another to see how these competencies or skills are should be integrated in our teaching and learning process. So start with self-awareness. Self-awareness, when we're talking about self-awareness, here we're talking about recognize one emotion, strengths and and limitation. So here we're talking about one. So you as a teacher, as an educator, you are supposed to recognize your emotion, strengths and and limitation before entering to the class. So we are going to see in the next skill how these skills are integrated one after another. So then we go to the second skill, which is self-management. Self-management. So when we're talking about self-management, here we are going to regulating our emotion and behavior to achieve goals. How? When we interact with students set their goals. Even we as educators, we set our goals to be accomplished or reached at the end of the program. So how are we going to achieve the goal set? We are supposed to manage ourselves. In self-management here, we can talk about how we as a teacher, we are going to manage time, how we are going to manage stress, so as well as how these learners we teach, they are going to manage time as well as stress. Not all about when we're talking about self-management, we are going to consider only those 2 things, but I'm going to talk about those 2. So start by you as a teacher or educator. How are you going to manage time? We can talk about time management when we're talking about planning lesson before go to teaching. You are supposed to prepare your lesson, set time for each part you are going, maybe start from introduction, maybe presentation, and so on. So this can be applicable in any topic. So first of all, you as a teacher, you are supposed to manage time in planning, a lesson plan before teaching. What about for the student? You can apply or integrate this skill of self-management for the students by set time for them for assigned task to do. Maybe we can talk about assignment of maybe classwork, maybe, or homework, maybe. You can give limited time for them to do a certain task. Also, self-management, we can look about stress management. We interact, we are from different maybe areas. We can have stress. So you as a teacher, you can't go there to the class teaching while you are stressful. So first of all, you as a teacher are supposed to manage your stress. How can you manage your stress? Maybe I can ask you. So let me ask you for a while and be free to share in the chat. How are you going to manage your stress as a teacher? Maybe you come from home, stressed with something, and then it is a period for teaching. How will you manage your stress? be free, and Irene, please lead the chat.
Okay. So Amira is saying take a deep breath.
Yes, for sure.
And then Dr. Amina is saying she personally always make sure that she has nuts or snacks in class.
Good.
Okay.
Yes. Who else?
Mariam is saying she's always happy when she sees kids, I think.
When she sees kids.
When she sings.
Okay.
Then Naito is saying she begins a lesson with songs to make herself relaxed. So this
Okay.
one sings.
So, Irene, all are those good examples on how can we manage stress before implementing or presenting the lesson. So you can, I mean, as previous said, you can manage your stress by give yourself time for relax. We are talking about relaxation. So you can maybe welcome your children by singing, maybe in order for you to remove the stress. So how about for the students? Here we're talking about for you as educator or teacher. What if the students come to the school? Maybe we are talking about the students come from different environments. Maybe some students can come maybe from family whereby there is conflict, and go, you wanted to teach him or her, but she's not, I mean, she is not ready to receive what you have prepared. So you are supposed to teach this student how can manage stress. So the same things you mentioned can be applied for the students. So students can manage their stress, maybe for sharing with their fellows, having time, etc. Let us shift to this skill, which is self-management, and then we are going to see about the next one, which is social awareness. What is social awareness? Understanding and emphasizing with others. This is just in brief, and we are going to see how we as a learner can emphasize with others. Here, when we're talking about emphasizing, we are talking about the society, and the society we deal with or we react to. Always these we are talking about students and our fellow workers there, our colleagues at our working places. So you as a teacher, as educator, you are supposed to know the problem face our students. How to be aware what are they going through, to be aware about their ability, and so on. For example, here I can give the example of social awareness. As a teacher, I can talk, I used to teach a student, but come from a family where there is a conflict, but no one knows what's going on there in his family. So he is always sitting there at the back, no engaged in the class, no answering questions, but no one what is going on. So there is a conflict. Apart from conflict, that student lives from family whereby his parents, including himself, they are HIV positive. So one day I thought about a topic concerned about HIV/AIDS, but he's not engaged at all, sitting there at the back. I see himself crying. So I decided to take her to the office and asking about what's going on, which make him cry. And he used to tell me the whole story about he is HIV positive. So you as a teacher, you are supposed to be aware about the society you interact with, their problem, maybe, etc. So also,
Yeah, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, relationship skill. Okay, we remain with only one skill. Relationship skills. Here we're talking about building and maintaining healthy relationship. How? we interact with the student, we can encourage them how to build and maintain relationship skill on how maybe in teaching and learning process, we can encourage them to participate in group discussion, peer-to-peer teaching. Example, if we wanted to teach about speaking and writing skill, we can put students in groups and then they discuss, whereby they share, they give their view, they know how to solve conflict. Also, give me time to talk about responsible decision making. I just wanted to summarize. When we're talking about responsible decision making, we're talking about the ability to make constructive and ethical choices. So we as a teacher, it is true, we interact with these students, but it comes the time where we decide wrongly. So we are supposed to acquire or to integrate this skill of responsible decision making in day-to-day teaching so as to make our class smoothful. I mean the conducive area for learning and teaching to take place. So benefit of CEL in general, I know due to the limit of time, when you integrate this skill of social and emotional learning, it's helping in academic success. How? Better skill contribute to improve academic performance, as we see in the example there. When you accommodate these students to interact themselves in a smooth way, they can do the better in the studies as well, to promote academic performance. Also, positive relationships, positive relationship. How? Here by integrating relationship skills. We are talking about health relationship. Also, responsible decision making can be enhance the ability to make constructive and ethical choices for you as a teacher, as well as for the students. Emotional regulation, improve emotional management and resilience for the both teachers and learners. Thanks. Okay, so by doing so, as my mentor introduced me, so I'm working full teacher here at Manyara region, whereby I'm implementing this program of social and emotional learning. So when you look the picture, these are my students, whereby they clean the garden. So there, how? Why this picture here? So I can say we integrate skill, which is relationship skill maybe, or social awareness. Thank you. So by doing so, I can ask you, before conclude my presentation, let me ask you, do you think we need to integrate this skill in our teaching and learning process?
Okay. So as everyone is answering that question in the chat box, thank you so much, Leah, for an amazing presentation about social and emotional learning skills, which can be integrated in our everyday lessons. I also like the fact that all these skills can be applicable to both teachers and students. Yeah, and thank you everyone for the stress release tips that you shared in the chat box. I'm very sure that these are very important and people have taken a note of them. So I think you read the chat box, but thank you so much. I'll skip questions because we still have 2 more presenters and we don't have a lot of time.
Okay, thank you.
So if you guys have any other questions, you can ask her in the chat box and she'll be able to answer you over there.
Irene, can I just say something before we move to the next presenter?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just will take just 1 minute to thank Dr. Amina and Leah for their work, because as Dr. Amina shared, Leah joined the program late, and it was really amazing that she could catch up and still give an excellent presentation today. So I just wanted to applaud your efforts, both of you as a mentor and teacher presenter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amira.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So our next presenter is Mija Machibia, and her mentor is Abigail. So Abigail is also a mentee, one of the first cohort mentees of this program, and she's been mentoring other mentees since then. I think this is her 3rd mentee, if I'm not mistaken. I think most of the people here knows Abigail. You have seen her somewhere, somehow. She is our shining star out there. So Abigail, you are welcome to introduce Mija.
Thank you, Irene. Good evening, everyone. I would be very brief because Mija has very long bio, so I tried as much as I could to introduce her very briefly. So Mija Beatty Mashibia is a committed English teacher at Mohambo Secondary School, somewhere in Tanzania. With a decade of teaching experience, she creates a vibrant learning atmosphere that promotes creativity and critical thinking. Outside the classroom, Mija acts as the event coordinator of the Tanzania English Language Association Kigoma branch, where she organizes engaging activities to enhance literacy and language skills in her community. She is a lifelong learner, as she's completed many courses in the English language, and I have been so elated to be her mentor. She's a very humble person, always ready to learn and as available as she could. She was supposed to be presenting last week, but she was bereaved, and so her presentation was forwarded to today. So, Misha, I wish you all the best, and please don't forget we need to be time conscious. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Over to
very
you,
much.
Milton.
Hello, do you see my screen?
We do see it, but it's on, I think this is Google.
No, it's not. It's not your presentations night, Mija.
Google.
Okay.
Now we can see your slides.
Okay.
Can you put it on play mode, please?
No, they were not the one. So while
Yeah, right.
Miji is still looking for her slides,
Yeah,
just
right here, dear.
okay. So while she's sharing her slides, her topic is about gender inclusive approaches. So as we all know that gender inclusion is a very important topic, and everyone is talking about it, and we have a lot of projects and programs about gender. I think this will be a very great, amazing presentation to listen to. Okay, we'll wait a bit.
Amira, can you help her share her slides, please? I think
It
she's
will
having
open,
some
I think. It's still loading. Fingers crossed.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. Maybe the computer is very slow.
Being patient. Thank you for being patient.
Don't worry.
Okay, as my mentor has introduced me, I am Media Machibia from Kigoma, Tanzania. I would like to thank my very own beautiful mentor, Abigail, for being there for me, trying to mold me to become a very good presenter, as well as to help me wherever I needed her help. But I would also like to thank Madam Amira for organizing this project, this program, which has been very helpful to both other special teachers, and allow me to go directly to my topic, which is breaking barriers, gender inclusion to English classroom. Under this presentation, we are going to have the following outlines. We're going to have the objectives, introduction, why gender inclusion in the classroom, steps towards gender inclusion in the classroom, and steps towards gender inclusion, and finally, we have the conclusion or final thoughts. Introduction and objectives. The objectives of this presentation are to identify the barriers hindering gender inclusion in English language classroom, to explore the values of gender inclusion in English language classroom, and to examine ways of breaking gender barriers in English language classroom. Starting with the introduction, gender inclusion is a concept that explains the notion that all services, opportunities, and establishments are open to all people, and that male and female stereotypes do not define societal roles and expectations. Everyone has an equal right to perform whatever he would like to do, regardless his or her gender. Being a champion of gender inclusion, I've used my classroom as an example to explore how gender inclusion can be applied in our English language classrooms. As a teacher, I have been using debate sessions to encourage my students to engage themselves in different activities, regardless their own genders. For example, in debate session, I normally make sure that both genders, boys and girls, participate equally by making sure that I balance the number of presenters, but also when they choose readers on the top, I make sure that there is boys and girls. As you can see on that picture, there is a chairperson who is a girl and the secretary is a boy. So I balance the gender during presentation debate session. But also I use to encourage them to set some motions which can help them to discuss more about gender inclusion. As you can read that one on the chalkboard, which states, formal education is meant for boys. Through this motion, boys and girls can discuss, and at the end of the debate, they can all come together, see the value of each other, see the uniqueness of each other, boys and girls. But also as a teacher, I use morning session presentations. During morning session speech, I use to give equal opportunity to both boys and girls. I make sure that when they arrange the timetable for people to present in the morning speech, the number of boys and girls are equal, so as to make girls to be confident to present as boys do. The next picture is my students and I having a friendly talk. I use friendly talk with my girls to empower them, to help them to know their uniqueness. As in most cases, female gender has been considered as the weak one. So I took a responsibility, I used to take a responsibility to talk with girls, trying to empower them, trying to help them see the uniqueness that God created inside them. And through this, girls has been waking up and performing wonderful things that even more than boys. As a teacher also, I use cross projects. For example, when you look on that picture, there is a girl presenting. During cross project, whenever I assign some activities to be done in the classroom, I make sure that each group has equal number of boys and girls. I use to help them know that everyone is unique. No one is perfect than the other one. So through mixing them together, they can learn the uniqueness of one another. So by using this classroom project, boys and girls learn to respect one another, ideas, and they can share whatever they think they can share, and others should respect each and everyone's idea. But also, let us now ask ourselves, why gender inclusion? Is it necessary? You can write your answers on the chat box, and Madam Amira or Irene will read for me later. But let us now see my reasons to gender inclusion. First of all, gender inclusion promotes equality and fairness. Gender inclusion ensures that all students are treated fairly and helping all of them to succeed their educational goals by allowing them to perform different activities while at school, but also encourage them to practice different activities outside the school. Not only that, but also gender inclusion fosters respect for diversity. When we say fostering respect for diversity, we mean that boys and girls should learn to respect one another. Schools should help students to learn to respect one another, as we know that our students come from different families with different norms and customs. In some families, girls are taught not to speak in front of men or in front of boys. They are taught to obey whatever a man says or whatever a boy says. So when they come into school, we teachers supposed to help them see the other side of the world by teaching to respect one another, because everyone is unique. We are created in a unique way that we should respect and learn from each other. But also, gender inclusion enhances learning outcome. Through gender equality, we can promote, we can enhance learning outcome by breaking the stereotype which often shapes education and career choices. In some cases, girls have been afraid to take science subject, thinking that they cannot perform as the way boys are performing. By fostering this gender inclusion, we can enhance girls to perform the subject which they think that they cannot afford as boys are doing. But through this one, we can also use the range of role models by giving them some examples of maybe female doctors, female lawyers who are performing better works than the way men are performing. But also, gender inclusion prepares students to the real world. When we say preparing students to the real world, that means that we help them to think beyond the classroom. We help them to think outside the four walls of the classroom. And by this one, we can help our students to equip with essential skills and perspective to navigate the real world effectively. Not only that, but also through gender inclusion, we can prepare students, we can encourage our students in different aspects. For example, encouraging them in quality of becoming good readers or becoming good person of tomorrow. So gender inclusion is important because it plays a big role of preparing these young ones to become better person of tomorrow by helping them to identify that everyone was created in a unique way, and we should listen and respect each and everyone's ideas. Let us now see the steps toward gender inclusion. Which steps can a teacher take in order to make her class to consider gender inclusion? First of all, the teacher should identify the magnitude of gender inclusion in the classroom. When we say identify the magnitude, we mean that the teacher should know, does her class or his class consider both genders to participate in several activities? If no, the teacher should identify the challenge which is hindering gender inclusion. And after identifying the challenge which are hindering gender inclusion, now the teacher should find ways to break that gender diversity so as to allow her class to be engaged with both genders, and everyone should be given an equal opportunity to perform different activities regardless of his or her gender. But also we can help these students being in gender inclusive by letting them, boys and girls, to know that together they can change the world by providing the range of role models. When we say providing the range of role models, we mean that we should give some examples of both genders, for example, maybe readers or people who are performing different careers regardless their gender. For example, in Tanzania, we have a president who is a female. So we can use our President Samia Suluhu to give examples to our girls that we have a female president who is also performing wonderful work than the way people thought she could not perform. So by using this range of role models, our girls and boys will learn to respect each other and be ready to help one another to reach his or her own goals. Final thoughts. Gender inclusion in English language classroom is important because it helps to create our students, boys and girls, in a very good way that everyone will be there for one another rather than bullying the other one, or rather than maybe seeing that girls have nothing to do in bringing development in our community. But also this gender inclusion in our classroom is important because we can help these boys and girls to be good ambassadors when they go out of the school or out of the classroom to help out their parents, their community, and the government at large. So everyone will be considering that everyone should be given an equal opportunity to perform any activity that he would like to perform, rather than thinking that the other gender is superior than the other one. Okay, thank you, Madam Irene. Can you please read for me the answers from the chat box? I asked the question, do you think gender inclusion is necessary? If there is any answer, kindly read for me.
Okay, I'm trying to look at the chat box because there are so many messages. Yeah,
Okay.
I think there were some few answers. Amira said, of course, it is important. And then Letitia said, yes, it is necessary. So I think these ones were the answers to your question.
Okay, thank you very much for those answers. Yes, gender inclusion in our classrooms is necessary because we teachers are responsible to create good people of tomorrow. We receive students from different families with different norms and customs. We have a chance to help them to become good person of tomorrow, and by making them good person of tomorrow, we create a conducive community and to create conducive families of tomorrow. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Mija, for an amazing presentation, and thank you so much for giving us all examples from your own classroom, which is very important, where you give your students equal chances to share their ideas and ensure that their views and their voices are heard and that they respect each other. That was very important to make sure that these students respect each other despite of their home backgrounds, as you have said. I think there are some questions in the chat box, and again, because of the time, you can go in the chat box and answer the questions that people are asking you. I think you have about 3 or 4 questions over there, but people don't get tired. We have one last presentation. We always save the best for last. So this one is the very best presentation. Sorry, the others. So we have our last presentation from Bridget. And the mentor is Tina Agustina Mtui. So Agustina Mtui has also been one of the mentees of this program. As you can see, many mentees are coming back to give back to this community of female leadership mentoring program. So she's one of the past mentees, and she was mentoring Bridget for the 3 months. Agustina, if you're around, you can come and introduce your mentee. In the meantime, Mija, you go and answer the questions in the chat box. Agustina?
Yes, please. Good evening, everyone. And I do hope Bridget is here. Bridget, please say hi to make sure that you are here before I introduce you.
She's here.
Okay. As Irene has introduced me, I was in the last cohort, and I'm so grateful to be the mentor in this cohort. And I'm super proud of Amira for this such program. It is so helpful. And tonight, with the last presentation, I would love to introduce Bridget, and she has said she's here. Bridget is a Ghanaian and a tutor of English language at Atebubu College of Education. She taught in the basic school, senior high school, and before joining the college in 2015. She has 18 years of experience as a teacher of English language. She studied BLD English and Master's in English, and she is currently reading her PhD in literature. I'm super proud to have somebody reading her PhD right now. So she's also a great mentor to me. She's a mother of 3, as you can hear the voices which are coming, and I hope the baby will give us a chance to present. She loves her job, ready to learn, explore, and help her learners become beneficial to the society. Ladies and gentlemen, educators, I'm so delighted to present Bridget. Bridget, please welcome, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Africa ELTA, for choosing me and for giving me this opportunity to give my view on what I'm presenting on. I'm grateful to my mentor, Tina. She has been very good to me. So I'm really grateful to her. Okay, please, let's start with the presentation. I'm presenting on language and identity.
I do hope Amira will share the slides.
Amira, please, Amira will help me with the sharing of the screen.
All the best.
Thank you so much. The language and identity. So we see that when we converse with an individual through the tonation or the sounds that the person may make, you can identify where he's from, the ethnicity and all. So that is what I'm talking about. And as a teacher, we need to understand our learners and know that because we are coming from different backgrounds, we may have some difficulty. ESL, we are all learning the English language. We have our mother tongue. And so we have to be particular, and then in order not to be frustrated or overwhelmed by our learners' inability to grasp a certain concept, we need to know their backgrounds and understand that because we are coming from different areas, if the learner's learning ability is low, we use other ideas to help the learner to grasp. Okay, thank you. The next one. It is an activity. I entreat each and every one of us here to write something in the chat box using your mother tongue, your first language. And then we identify if there's someone who has written something like ours. Maybe we have two people speaking the same language. From our presentations, I can see that there are people from Tanzania, 3 or so. We have people from Ivory Coast, and so we write in our mother tongue. Then we say something fun as our introduction. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. We are looking at how language and identity will help the English language educator positively. And then we'll look at the strategies to promote this language and identity in the classroom. Okay, so how language and identity can help the educator positively. We are looking at community engagement. So our educational setting, we find ourselves in a particular community. Our learners can help in general cleaning, cleanup exercises, and in that they interact with the members of the community. And then we can solicit funds from companies and other job lucrative institutions there, so that they will help to put up things that the community needs, like boreholes or schools. We can see that here in Ghana, for example, some of the school settings, they need upgrade. And then through the community engagement, we can seek help from elderly people who are educated to come and talk to our learners in the mother tongue, so that the learners will be proud of their culture. Here I can say the Frafres, there is a tribe called Frafra and Dagumba. They mock each other, and then there are shanties too. They laugh at the bonus because of how their tone and the languages. So if we are able to call people mentor to come and mentor the learners, they'll be proud of their language, and then they will be able to express themselves. We are teaching English language though, but sometimes when learners are asked questions, you can see that they have difficulty in expressing themselves. But when you allow them to say whatever they want to say in their mother tongue, they're able to express themselves better, and everybody is able to understand. So we encourage this so that they'll be able to express themselves, and then they will not feel shy that they are coming from a certain background. Identity affirming practices. So, as I said, we could help them to show off their culture. Through here, we have SRC Week celebrations. So, during that time, they put on their cultural wears, traditional wears. They speak in their dialects, giving poems and all those things. So, they're able to express themselves, and people accommodate them. We don't have to shun them because they are coming from a certain ethnic group or tribe. Teacher reflection and then self-awareness. So me, the English teacher, after teaching, I have to reflect on what I thought, making sure that I was not biased towards a learner who is also a language speaker like me, and I can, or shunning someone who has the tone or dialect issues. The Ashantis, for instance, they have something called free variation. So they can interchange L, so the O sound, the sound, and the D sound. And so some people have difficulty because they transfer that into the English language. So if the teacher is aware of this, he will help the learner out of it and will not force him or disgrace him in front of the class, because instead of saying bread, he said bled or something like that. And then the culturally responsive teaching. We need to inculcate in our teaching local texts, so storybooks, and then those materials, those teaching learning material that we'll be using to teach. It should be things that the learners are familiar with, so that it will help in the better understanding. They say we are teaching from the known to the unknown. And so if we use the materials and the text that they are familiar with, they will get better understanding, and it in turn will help them to grasp the English language better and be proficient in it. Next, please. Okay, so so far what we have learned from how we are going to use our dialect or our local language in teaching, the strategies that we'll be using to help the learners become proficient in the English language. That's what we are reflecting on. This is a portion of a class, a mentor class that I took the picture on. So the learners are able to say they are encouraged because they were able to express themselves or relay their analogies or experiences in their mother tongue. Okay, please, the next one. Please. Okay, so now we are looking at how or the methods that we'll be able to use to promote language and identity. So the first one, we are looking at language profiling. Here, we look at the background of the learners. We can communicate with the learners and their parents too. So what is the first language? And then we look at the proficiency level of the learner's first language and then the English language that he's coming to learn, their experiences and all. So if we are able to know this, it will guide, the teacher will be guided, and then how the teacher would relate to the learner and help the learner accept the new language and learn it. It will be easier. Culturally responsive pedagogy. So here we are looking at the teaching and learning activities that are relevant to the learner's background. The experiences, the examples, and all that we use should be something that the learners know so that it will be helpful. So we use text like Anowa. It has the Akan background. We have the names are local names that they are familiar with. And then the identity text. So this one too has to do with the materials, the images. I remember when I was doing my internship, I was using a book, McGraw-Hill, composition and grammar and composition book. And so you see that it's from US, and the examples, the names that they use and all those things were foreign. So even if I have to use a sentence, I changed the name to our local name, Amma or Kwesi, so that they'll be familiar with it. It's better than using these foreign names. Some of them have difficulty pronouncing them. Then the language rich environment. So we need to put on our walls, the TLRs that we use the different languages that the learners, that there are different background, their dialects, and then their ethnic groups, the languages that they are using. We use words, such words. And then when we are explaining and they have difficulty understanding our explanation in the English language, we explain in the local language. I, for one, if our place, we have about 6 different languages. So the language that I cannot speak, especially from the northern sector, I will let a northerner learner who is good explaining their dialect, because he has grasped the concept in the English language. So he will explain so that the one who is still fumbling will also get it. You see that after explaining in the local language, they will say, they have understood it. Then we go back to using the English language so that they will know that if I say bra, it means come or something like that. Okay, thank you. All right, so in conclusion, I'm using Noam Chomsky's saying. He says, a language is not just words, it's a culture, a tradition, a unification of a community, a whole history that creates what a community is. It's all embodied in a language. So through language, we are able to unite. So if we allow our learners to express themselves in their local language without we mocking them or teasing them, the class will be united, and then teaching and learning will be easier and more understandable. And so our chief aim of gaining proficiency in the English language will be gained. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Bridget. I hope this is the last slide. Yeah. So thank you so much for reminding us as teachers that we are teaching from the known to the unknown. I also liked the idea of using local languages to explain whatever you are teaching in class. So I have one question before we go to the chat box. What if you are teaching a class which has students that speak more than one local language? Let's say you are teaching a class that has students who are speaking 3 different local languages. What do you do to explain things to them? Bridget?
Yeah. So I said that in my class, for instance, I have about, so where I am not able to explain and they don't understand what's the concept, so that he will explain in the language that's the one who is finding difficulty to understand, will use to explain so that the learner will get what we are learning. One of the students will use the learner's language to explain so that he will also gain from what we are learning.
Okay, thank you. If you go through the chat box, you see a lot of messages congratulating you. I don't see a question. So a very big thank you to our lovely mentees, all who have presented from day 1 to today, which is day 3. and their mentors. Thank you so much. I also would like to thank the participants, everyone who is here, everyone who is watching, our audience. Thank you so much. You've been active since day 1 to today, that is day 3. We can't thank you enough. Thank you also to Amira, who has been coordinating this program. I don't remember from which year, but yeah, we are still moving on, and you have a lot of mentees, past mentees. I would also like to thank the Africa ELTA board and advisors for their support throughout the program, and you are looking forward to the next cohort of 2025-2026. So thank you so much, everyone. And Amira, back to you.
Thank you very much, Irene, for moderating tonight. And I would like to repeat what you mentioned about thanking the audience first for making these presentations great by your attendance from day 1. We had 3 days of presentations, almost 3 hours every day, and you are sticking around for the 3 hours. In all of the sessions, we didn't have less than 50 attendees. So thank you very much for your patience with the internet connection issues, and also for your active participation. And I'd like to really thank all our presenters tonight and in the past 2 days as well for your amazing presentations, for your dedication and commitment to this program. And congratulations to all of you. And of course, I'd like to mention all our mentors who have made this program a great success. They have been working behind the scenes to mentor all our amazing presenters for the past few months. And I'd like to thank them very much for their efforts, dedication, and commitment as well to this program by volunteering to serve. This is the Africa ELTA Female Leadership Mentoring Program, in which we support and mentor female classroom teachers in Africa to become professional conference presenters. During the period of the program, they learn about presentation skills, leadership skills, in addition to proposal writing skills. Many of them in the past have become stars that many of you know today as part of the Africa ELTA community, TESOL community, and all the ELT international community as well. And we are very proud of our mentees in this program, whom I'm sure will become also future stars. Thank you again, everyone. And one last request is for us just to have a group photo. So if you can open your videos so you can take this photo, we are going to be posting it on the Africa ELTA social media to celebrate the end of the program. Thank you all.
Thank you, Amira. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye bye.
I am in the dark.
Bye.
Yeah, happy to see you all.
Yeah, I am in the dark, so it's not easy.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay.